Welcome to Cloud Stories, where your host, Heather Smith, interviews some brilliant minds from the Xero ecosystem and beyond. This show shares stories from our community, developers, cloud integrators, end users, Xero solution providers, business consultants, accountants, bookkeepers, and people riding the cloud. Together we gain a 360-degree insight into this evolving phenomenon. We pick up tips, tools, and tactics from stories shared. We understand where the pieces of the puzzles fall into place, and in turn we can propel our business to the next level. Now here's your host, the very curious Miss Heather Smith.
Welcome to the third episode of Cloud Stories. I'm your host, Heather Smith, and in today's show I'm talking to Gayle Buchanan, the Chief Number Nurse at Number Nurses.
But before I speak with Gayle, you might notice I've added some music to the show. The music is courtesy of the artist Cuba Love, her song Dangerous. She is an artist based in London, and I'll leave you links to her sites in the show notes. Perhaps if you like the music, you'll go make the effort to go to one of her gigs. I have a number of interviews lined up for future episodes. I'm really looking forward to speaking to the guys from TradeGecko, an online inventory management solution. These guys are based in downtown Singapore. For those of you who know Singapore, down near the marina, a hop, skip and jump away from the popular tourist attraction Sentosa. So really looking forward to speaking to them about the startup scene in Southeast Asia. Please listen into the shows and subscribe to future podcasts so you don't miss out on that insight. But back to our guest for today, the lovely Gayle Buchanan of Numbers Nurses, a bookkeeping and training organisation. Gayle is based in Drury, New Zealand, and has recently launched Numbers Nurses as a franchise. Numbers Nurses specialises in helping business owners and accountants master the administration role of Xero and Xero add-ons. Hello, Gayle.
Hello, Heather.
Thank you so much, Gayle, for being on our show this morning. I'm really looking forward to talking to you about your business and what you generally do within the cloud. From what I understand, Gayle, you founded a business called Numbers Nurses. Can you describe what your business does?
Oh, sure, Heather. Pleasure to be here, by the way. The business was started I didn't really know what to do, so it was kind of neat to go back to what I love, which is numbers, and I've always helped my husband in his business. And what we do is we actually go and do call-outs to people which are virtual. So it's done via Skype and TeamViewer, and it's basically very similar to a plunket nurse who turns up at your door when you've had a new baby and you don't quite know what to expect and you just need some help with your Xero setup and any add-ons for Xero. So it's kind of neat. We're the number nurses, basically, and the bridge between that business owner and the accountant, which a lot of people, the service seems to be, a lot of people want that type of thing. So it's kind of started as a help, and now it's starting to grow into, hopefully in the next 12 months, be licensing it.
Excellent. So you're looking at about 12 months' time to be licensing that. Will that be in New Zealand or beyond New Zealand?
It will be in New Zealand initially. All the great books I've read have said, hey, make sure you get it done at home first, and it works as a model in your own country first before you go overseas. But there are a few people overseas that want to have a look at the model as well, so that's quite exciting.
No, that is very exciting. And what I'm seeing with people working in the Xero space is that they seem to expand very quickly once I think they've got all of the automation in place, which is something that sort of you'll be on top of. So yes. You describe yourself as a chief numbers nurse. As a chief number nurse, what does your day involve?
Now I have a virtual assistant, which is really great, and they help me with the appointments and the training. So half of the week is spent training, which are 45-minute sessions, and with a wee break in between, which is kind of neat.
Within the 45 minutes?
Within the 45 minutes. Each training is 45 minutes. Yes. So have a 15-minute break in between each of them just to prep you. So I guess the day kind of starts the day before, and that's all set up a week in advance. So I know what I'm doing in advance. So it's really very much training and downtime bookkeeping, which is, my other love, because you kind of need to keep that skill up in order to train better.
Yes, absolutely. I completely agree with that, and that you need to actually be doing it to train it. It always worries me when people train something that they're actually not doing. And like, as you know, I'm a writer. When people write about stuff that they're actually not doing, it's like, how can you be writing about it if you don't do it? But anyway, so I think that's really important, and your clients must really benefit from your knowledge there, and that you know it, and then you're training on it.
And I mean, constantly the space is changing. So Xero and all the add-ons are updating. So you have to keep on top of absolutely everything. But be human about it, because we all can't be 100% perfect, and there are areas and markets that will use different parts of Xero. So don't be afraid to kind of niche and do well in that part of Xero, and knowing the whole lot all of the time. It is it's a full-time job.
Absolutely. Well, that jumps ahead to another question that I was going to ask you. So I'll jump ahead and ask you that while you've raised that. It does take a lot of time to learn a new solution. So if someone was coming to Xero and trying to learn that, or they were going into the Xero ecosystem, where we've now got currently about 300 add-on solutions, trying to pick up and learn one of those solutions. So what advice would you have for a business consultant going, okay, I want to learn something, where should they start?
Okay, the quickest way I learnt, I think, was I spent 9 months bashing about and trying to grab anybody and everybody in any market before stepping back. So it was sort of like, I didn't get my toes wet, I just jumped straight in. So after that 9 months of just working, it's a big slog. Just stop and take a minute and think, which industry or which sector do I love the most, and go there. So I went to the New Zealand Stats Department and went through all of the industries that were there, picked out the top 5 that I liked, and then came back and saw what add-ons in Xero were attached to those industries, and that knocked another 3 off. So I actually brought it down to 2 industries in the end, and it did take about 6 weeks to work out which one that was. And then, having had previous experience with my parents' businesses, I knew what industries not to go into. So that was kind of neat. So pick what you love first, then find the add-on, and then go learn that add-on, be a partner with that add-on as you're learning Xero as well, because it is a learning curve, and thinking you know everything about it within sort of a couple of weeks, you're deadly wrong. It does take, I speak to a lot of accounting firms that train their staff with, and said, look, until you've got that 20,000 transactions under your belt, and you're feeling really confident about the industry you're in with Xero, I said, then you can start talking about being an expert. And until then, just do your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, and I completely agree with that as well. A lot of people seem to call themselves an expert in something. You're like going, really? When did you become that was extremely quickly. And that's kind of like, I rarely call myself an expert in something, even though I spend, 100 hours learning it. So I love the fact that you spent 6 weeks researching that to identify your niche area and what to actually focus in on. So that's excellent advice for people. And there's so many out there. You think, oh, this person's really nice, and they keep ringing me up and sending me letters. I should learn that product. But standing back and working at what's you're actually going to be the best fit for, is going to put you in a better position to give your clients better advice.
And that's half the equation. The other half is applying it, and then that's a whole different story.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Now, I'll jump back. So we've covered sort of what your business is doing. When did you start your business?
Back in 2011, actually. It was the 4th of July, interestingly enough. Yes.
Lovely. 4th of July 2011. So your business, I believe, is based in Drury. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so
interesting. Yes. It's Drury.
I had a look on the map to find it, and that's New Zealand's North Island, just south of Auckland. So what is the internet connection like for you in Drury?
Okay, Drury, the whole area is kind of cool, and I'm more at the Bombay end. So we're right on the top of a hill, 333 metres above sea level.
Okay.
The internet line, we're the last house on the line. So for about 45 minutes in each day, it just stops because all the school kids get home. So that's cool. That's cool. It's fine after that. But you can run it off the mobile, and I've bought some broadband machinery that,
like a booster,
that helps you get a little wee booster, and you can run off that. But to tell you the truth, the only time we've gone down is when the power's gone down and there's been a storm. So it's pretty cool.
It's something that when we become more reliant on the cloud, we need to be aware of, and understanding that time slot kids all come from home from school, and how it affects you, definitely. I know for me, if we get heavy rains, about 3 days later, that's when my internet goes down. So obviously it soaks through.
Yes, the water in the lines.
Yeah, exactly. And sort of being aware of that. And for me, I have alternative arrangements which I can sort out.
Actually, my family's quite happy when that happens because I actually move.
Oh, and you go and visit them, do you?
Yeah, it's like, time to go visit people.
Sensational.
Yes.
Yeah, and I guess that's the flexibility of actually working in the cloud. I know that I do a lot of travel, and being able to just travel, be somewhere else, and actually working in the cloud is sensational. So the fact that your client actually has no idea that you're not on top of that hill when you're giving them that training, and they don't mind about that.
It's great. See, when I'm training, I just go right through that and get them all hooked up and then talk about it later. You know, and they, where are you, by the way? And usually happens when there's a chicken that walks straight past my dog in the background, and they go, there's a chicken standing behind you. And it's like, where do you live? And it's kind of cool. I quite like that.
It is. It's sensational that you can live wherever you want and develop a niche expertise and then provide that knowledge kind of worldwide. So that's sensational. Yeah. So you do work with a number of solutions in the Xero add-on ecosystem, and I see from your profile you are a partner with a few of them. So what I'd appreciate is if you could share with our listeners what these solutions do. So if we could start with Workflowmax, if that's okay, if you can let listeners know what that product does.
Cool. Workflowmax, my niche for its builders or some creatives, is that it does force them to process. And that's the part I love about it, is if you've go into a business right now who are working on pen and paper, or they're working on Excel spreadsheets or tiny bits of software, is that Workflowmax can pull together the operational part of your business, which is really the meat in the middle, and brings all the stuff and all your tasks and chores and all your milestones and sets it all there really simply for people to track and work through. And that particular add-on is great because you can have the job and the tasks listed, and it doesn't matter if anyone's sick. You know, your employees are sick, or if you're sick, you can actually hand the job over, and everything's, there as a checklist.
Excellent.
So operationally, very, very good and easy, forces you to process, which a lot of businesses I come across don't do that at all. So it's great.
And putting in the automation of the force to process actually, again, allows them to grow their business because they've got a basis to grow it from.
Absolutely. And it then becomes a nice wee asset for them too. So that's great.
Sensational. Okay, well, that's very interesting. So Workflowmax, you're using it for builders and creatives. A lot of accountants use it. Is that correct?
Yes, they do. Yeah. And same thing, it's fabulous. It attaches to, in New Zealand, it attaches to the tax department, which is great. Okay. You can do your GST returns through there as well. And it automates straight into Xero too, which is brilliant. And work papers, of course, which the accountants need.
Sensational. Okay, thank you very much for that. And if another program that you're a partner with is JobSheet. JobSheet Partner, is it called JobSheet or JobSheet Partner?
Just JobSheet.
JobSheet, okay. So
JobSheet.
Don't copy that down, right.
So that software is actually moving into a mobile app, which is great, and it's putting a job card for tradies onto a piece of software that they can carry around on their phone or on their iPad, which is great. So again, it also helps with process. So if you've got a job card that you'd give to an employee or to yourself with addresses, delivery addresses, who you bill to, all the parts, it connects to local suppliers like the likes of electrical suppliers or plumbing suppliers, so that it can actually do a quote on the run, which is excellent for the smaller traders or going up to about 5 employees. So they can do their invoicing in the driveway as they leave, which means they can actually go home and they don't take their paperwork home, which I find a lot of them, to keep them balanced, is, hey, stop in the driveway, finish the job off, and then don't take anything home. And I said, your wife will love you for it. So
yeah,
I guess marriage counselling comes a little bit into our software as well, which is cool.
Yeah, look, people have told me that after having something installed that they were actually on the route of divorce, and the installation has removed that layer of frustration for them. So I completely hear you there as well. So that's an interesting thing. And building that, here it is, quote, don't leave the property, quote, before you leave the property, really brings it in. And you raise a really good point there in terms of when we go into a business and say, look, have a look at these cloud solutions, in reality, most people are bringing their own device to work, and most people have some sort of mobile phone, whether it be an iPhone or a Galaxy or something like that. So it's very easy to overlay and just say, here's the solution, upload it into your phone and use it. And for the business owner, the infrastructure is not particularly expensive because most of them already have it.
Yes, and yes, it's something that doesn't sort of go far from their pocket, which is kind of handy.
Yeah, absolutely. So another solution that you deal with is Receipt Bank. Can you share with our listeners what Receipt Bank does?
Okay, Receipt Bank would be my all-time favourite to date. Every business can use it, and I think what happens is, because my husband's a real estate agent, and then I've got my brother is an eel fisherman, and neither one of them, I get my receipts all squashed up. They have the ability, like everyone's got a phone, is to take a photograph of the receipt and it goes straight to Receipt Bank, where I can code it automatically, and then it comes straight down into Xero with the receipt attached, both up there in the cloud with both of them. One copy is in Receipt Bank and the other copy comes down into Xero. So you've got two places for that, which is a great backup. And then it's already processed, so I don't have to punch it, scan the receipt, and get their books done for them each month. So every client I come across that has shoebox, I will get them to buy Receipt Bank and have that as part of their suite of software. It just saves so much time. It's a no-brainer. Everyone gets it, and it's like, no, you're having it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. So in terms of selling it to the client, you just tell them that they're getting it. Do you? I found it difficult to push it to encourage clients to use it, even though I think it's a really good solution. I found it really hard to sell it to clients. So how do you go through that process of saying you've got to use it?
Yeah, it comes as it's part of the package, and the reason being is the first thing everyone says is, oh, I quite like the idea of my receipts coming off the EFTPOS machine. They actually fade over time. And I said, well, look, as an obligation, this is part of the obligations of being a director of a company in this country, is that you must keep these receipts.
Yes.
And I said, if you can take a flick and get a photo up there, and we've got 2 copies in 2 places, and fortunately last year the tax department here agreed to hold documents outside of New Zealand, so that was fantastic. So that takes away that resistance to come in and have it held in the cloud, which is cool.
Yes.
So for them, I said, look, this is what you're going to be doing. And I walk it through them and, get them I will load it on their phone for them, or get someone close to them to do it for them, which is normally the case. And then once I've done it, I show them the difference in how long it takes with them on Skype next to me, how long it takes for me to do it for them, and how long it would take if they would just take one photo.
Okay.
And then straight away they look at it from now it's an hourly rate, not the fact that it's only $20 a month.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, definitely.
So I just say, look, for $20 a month you can do this, or you can have me for $150. Which would you prefer?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's great. And for someone going back and investigating what's happened into the business, it's so much easier just to have that receipt attached to the transaction, so you can go and refer back to it, rather than the time involved in searching through paperworks that have, even if they've been properly filed, is just it is a no-brainer.
It is, yes. Yeah. It can be a nightmare.
Yeah, absolutely. So we encourage everyone to sign up to a solution like Receipt Bank. So you've said something that I've never heard before. I didn't know you had such a thing as an eel fisherman.
Yes, there is. There's many of them.
Really?
Yeah, they are. And they're doing some investigations at the moment with a lake nearby that's starting to turn red. It looks like a rusty colour. So the eels in there are obviously starving of food. And we export. New Zealand exports around
eels.
The world.
Oh, there you go.
Smoked eels. Yummo.
Yeah. So is it a full-time job?
It is, and it has been for him for nearly 40 years now.
Oh, my goodness. Well, there you go.
So
he's a legend.
Yes.
An eel fisherman using Xero.
An eel fisherman, yes. And Receipt Bank.
I frequently watch this very late show that appears on TV here in Australia, and it's really late at night. And it's shot in New Zealand, and it's your New Zealand Police Department, and you're going and the New Zealand Police are catching people who are going and getting something out of the water. I think it's like a shell, a papua shell or something like that.
Power.
And they're only allowed so many kilos.
Yeah.
but then they go and like wrap it around their engine so they can then sneak
I
it.
know.
It's just like the craziest.
They're naughty.
Show. Yeah.
They're just naughty.
So, but again, I've never eaten one of those either. So.
Oh, they are lovely, especially if they're cooked properly. You
there you
just
go.
need to make sure they get cooked properly.
Oh, do you? Okay. Well, promoting eels and how do we say it?
Power.
Eels and power. Very good. New Zealand delicacies.
Yes.
Now, on the side, as well as running your business, one of the things that you, and one of the things I first discovered you on, is that you actively facilitate a group on LinkedIn, and the group's name is Xero Bookkeepers (International). So
yes.
you actively facilitate this group. So what does this bring to you? How does this fit in with your business?
In that first year 2, part of the social media part for to grow not only my name and then start growing the company name is that I have been taught that it's always grow your name first and then start growing your company. Mm-hmm. So the part of that was LinkedIn is what I consider the professional group for this social media marketing. Mm-hmm. So I went, right, I'm going to start this group, and what I'm going to do is start helping other bookkeepers that are coming in on board on Xero, and let's start sharing ideas, and let's just start bringing all the bookkeepers together, because it can be kind of a lonely place, and getting up and going and networking sometimes we sort of get to put our head down and get immersed inside all the numbers. So I thought, right, if we start this group, then it means that we can collectively get together around the world, and I'm sure bookkeeping's the same everywhere. So I just invited absolutely everybody that had Xero next to their name in LinkedIn or anyone I ever met, and brought them all together. And what it did was it just helped me feel not so alone as I was building my business. And I thought, hold on a minute, everyone else has got to be feeling the same way I am. And I wanted to give as much as I could, because it had taken me 9 months to just get started. And I thought, well, if I could help people get past that 9 month really quickly and help them just get to where they wanted to go, it's just good for karma. I like it. I like to give them. Yeah.
Absolutely. And look, and I think that's the place probably I first discovered you. So if you are listening to this podcast and are interested in learning more about the Xero ecosystem, and you're working as a bookkeepers or sort of the number assistants in the business, go and have a look on LinkedIn for the Xero Bookkeepers International group. And I find it an excellent resource to actually go and ask perhaps an in-depth question and get some resources back. Because I know, like you, Gayle, you know that I go in there and ask a few questions when it is isolating, and you know how to generally do something, but then you find something that you're pondering over. And perhaps to my discredit, some of the things I sometimes work on, a few things that are bespoke in that it's like the first time I've come across them. And it's like, how do I resolve this? How do I get through this? And I work as a freelancer, so there's no one in the office around the water cooler to discuss that with, and you kind of want to be private about it, but you still want to have some good resources out there. So I really benefit. I really find working in that group or going in and discussing that group beneficial. And as you said, I think it's also really important to give back to the group and to answer other people's questions. I never really understand people who don't go in and say, I know the answer, call me.
Yes, I know.
Really?
It isn't. Yeah, I've gone through a couple of times and tried to weed out some people that aren't, contributing or sitting there. And they come around personally and say, please, can I stay? I just, haven't brought myself to say anything. And what I've found and learned about bookkeepers, since I've been working as one, is that they're very shy. They're incredibly shy. And,
voyeuristic, maybe.
Amazingly talented women.
Yeah.
And then when you get them this platform, they just come alive. And that's what I like about that group. So now there are a heap of Xero staff in there and a lot of accountants. And it was all about, look, guys, we're the bookkeeper and you're the accountant. We're here to bridge the gap and help each other. This isn't it isn't a war. That's what we're here for. These are our roles. Some of us cross the line and others don't, but that's okay. We understand that. But come out and just help each other, because it's we can't take on, for me it was all about, I can't take on the world and help every business, but I can help someone else help 100.
Absolutely.
So, there's about 800 of us in there now. So, I'm hoping that group is helping at least 8,000 businesses grow, and it's kind of neat.
I always think it's about helping the small business owner. And if you can help the small business owner, that feeds on into their lifestyle, into their children being able to go to ballet class, into the freedom and flexibility to go down to the beach on a Monday when they want to go down, rather than have to kind of stick to the 9-to-5 grind, perhaps. And that's what I like to be able to do. So, essentially, if we can do that and give them that freedom through assisting them in that way, we're sort of moving the whole world forward.
Oh, aren't we? Yes.
Superhero.
Yes.
So, what activities do you do, Gayle, to grow your business?
Mine is very much referral based. So my growth is ensuring I go to ZeroCon each year in Australia and in New Zealand, and then also attend the Accountants Republic workshops and their Republic Day, which is they mentor accounting firms, and ultimately, really accountants are my clients, and their clients are who I train and help. Because it's, my niche was to niche down and help accountants, because they have got, most of them have got a couple of hundred clients each.
Yes.
And I can't go and, I did try for 9 months to try and to talk to those couple of hundred clients, but I found out that they were all in different niches, and I couldn't get them, couldn't see the niches I wanted to work with, which was very much, that creative and the construction side, which included the tradies inside of it. So I found the accountants that had the tradies and went along and helped them.
Ah, okay. And so you go through the accountants. Do you go and do training at the accounting firms, or do you just
it's all virtual.
All virtual.
Yeah, it's all virtual.
I should know that. Sorry.
Yes, it's okay. But sometimes some people want you to hold their hand. So if I've got accountants down the South Island and they've got, and I train all of their South Island clients, obviously.
Yes.
If I can get to them in the North Island, they need a handhold. I'll go and do that. That's okay. But they just got to understand the time does get cut down for the services we offer, and sometimes it can work out really well to move some of them forward, because they've even got clients who want to bring their accountants to the training. Where have you heard that before? That's very cool.
Yeah, no, it is very cool. Yeah, it is an interesting it's an interesting evolution, in that there's a solution out there, and we see a lot of business owners pushing to move to Xero. However, their accountant still hasn't heard about it, or they're actually bringing the accountant along for the ride. And so you're getting this accountant ringing up saying, what do I do now? And saying that, rather than worry listeners out there, I have accountants who had never used Xero before, and I said, look, I will come in and do whatever training you need so you know it. But they picked it up, and they said, picked it up really quickly. I could see exactly what I was supposed to do, and I worked through it that way. So that was fine, and they didn't feel that was... But then I'll get other accountants who want to learn more, but on a high level, they found it very easy to pick up. So I guess that's a good thing to know. So now you mentioned Accountants Republic. What's Accountants Republic?
Accountants Republic is run by and owned by a woman called Viv Brown-Rigg. She grew her accounting firm up to over $1 million, and a global company called CCH actually bought it for its processes and systems and the library that she'd built. And now she's a mentor to accounting firms in New Zealand and Australia. And each year there is a Republic Day, and I work closely with them because we both agreed that our ultimate is to get bookkeeping out of accounting firms. And I'm like going, I'm here with all the bookkeepers. I'll take all the bookkeeping. So it's kind of neat. So a side thing, just going to a side issue for the moment, is that because I've now got this national list of bookkeepers in New Zealand through the Bookkeepers Association and the group, LinkedIn group, it means that any leads coming in from her accountants through the country that I can't get to, I can pass on to local bookkeepers. Yeah. So being a part of that group has helped that network. Yes. And we all share leads as such that we can't get to. And that's what I promote, is if you can't get to them, someone else can, so pass it on. Yeah, and that's what Viv does. So we're out there helping I'm out there helping those accountants with the bookkeeping side and the Xero side. She's out there actively promoting the fact that you shouldn't be doing bookkeeping. You're an advisor. Go off and do that. It's way too expensive for you to be training people on Xero and Receipt Bank and any of the add-ons. It's not your core business. Move us, outsource it and, use number nurses. So it's been great. We've worked together on that quite solidly for a couple of years now, so it's working really well.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting, and it's really useful to make those relationships with people that you sort of those trusted relationships with people and grow and evolve in a sort of a complementary fashion. So that sounds really interesting. So does she hold sessions days in New Zealand or days in New Zealand and Australia?
Day in New Zealand, and is moving and has a rather large library of workshops now, which is great.
Fantastic. Excellent. I'll put that in the show notes for listeners, a link to Accountants Republic. Thank you for that.
Fabulous.
Now, ZeroCon is, just for people who don't know, ZeroCon is the main country's Xero conference that's held, I think currently it's held, there's one in New Zealand, one in Australia, one in England, and one in San Francisco. I should say America. I'm not sure if they're held anywhere else, but I know our Australian one's coming up. Is it September, Gayle?
August.
August, okay. So our Australian one's coming up in August, and I think the New Zealand one's in February. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if people are interested, I'll put those in the show notes. Now, you say that you grow your sort of business and your customer base from attending ZeroCon. So how does that work?
Those are the accountants that I've met virtually, and I'll meet them. They'll come up to ZeroCon. I'll actually encourage them to come up because of the atmosphere that the conference provides. You've got between 800 and 1,000 people in a room over a couple of days. It's awesome for them and their staff to come up. So as they come up, I'm sort of the link between the bookkeepers that are here and introduce them to those bookkeepers and those accountants. And when the accountants can actually see that there's a bookkeeper actively promoting relationships between the firms nationally, it's trust. You build your trust there, and the referrals will come a lot thicker that way than they will doing any other way. I mean, you've got a captive audience within a room.
Yeah, and, absolutely.
From day one, I've always sat in the front row because I'm a bit of a geek, because I just don't like anyone standing up in front of me and blocking my view, because I need to see everything.
Absolutely.
So I'm so excited. So it's been great for the last few ZeroCons, is encouraging all the other bookkeepers to come up and sit at the front. So we're sort of the rowdy guys in the front row, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
yes.
And ZeroCon, for people who are considering attending, it's a huge amount of information, but it's a really positive... It's just a positive, fun atmosphere. It's kind of like Disneyland for bookkeepers and accountants. It's just so much fun to go there and meet so many people. It's and so much of what we do is virtual, to actually touch base and actually meet people there and have the opportunity to have some longer, in-depth conversations with them is sensational. And one of the things that really impressed me when I met you, Gayle, is you had a little nurse's cap on.
Yes. Yeah, it is a chance to market yourself.
Branding, sensational branding.
Yes, and I mean, there's a lot of accountants that still turn up in suits, so we're trying to encourage them to wear team T-shirts and actually have some fun while you're there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can see who's been there 2 or 3 times. They're the ones having the most fun, I think.
Yeah, and one thing that really surprised me about ZeroCon is whenever you go to a conference, they typically give you something. And so ZeroCon on the first day gave us T-shirts, and I thought, T-shirts. People are going to wear T-shirts. Are people going to wear T-shirts? So I remember getting up the next morning and I thought, well, it's a nice T-shirt. What can I wear? And so I put the T-shirt on, and I'm not the kind of girl who's actually built for a T-shirt, but I put it on and it looked okay. It was a really nice quality, nice material T-shirt, and I put it on. I thought, oh God, I'm going to be the only person wearing a T-shirt. And I got down there and everyone had their ZeroCon T-shirt on. I was so like,
cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. I thought, oh, am I going to cope with this? Am I going to cope with this? Everyone's going to see me wearing the T-shirt. And, but no, it was very exciting. So it was, and I know that everyone I spoke to who it was their first one, so I've been to a few now, was just blown away by how exciting it was. And you really have to, I talk about a conference dance card, in that you really, as well as being casual about attending the conference, you really have to be structured and say, contact people beforehand, either encourage them to go or say, hi, I know you're going. I really need to spend some time talking with you. Can we do that? And I know, for instance, I wanted to spend some time with you, Gayle. So we actually walked to the conference from the hotel room to the conference. And doing those things with people, like jumping in a taxi with people, going to the evening events, actually, don't sit there and talk about sport. Get out what you need to, because this is your opportunity. So really work that conference hard.
Yes, and it is very open to all of that. That's why, and I just like the way that it all opens up with Rod Drew standing up in his jeans and his t-shirt and his sneakers, Yes. And that's what it's like. And he said, if anyone starts getting too corporate here, you're fired. It's just so cool, and I love that line.
Yeah, absolutely. And what is very exciting, like you've brought up Rod Drew, who's the CEO of Xero, is that he and so many of the staff are available to talk to you. And I know that I've been to accounting conferences of other providers in the past, and trying to speak to anyone of a senior level I was banging my head against the wall. And as a writer, I need to speak to... maybe not everyone needs to speak to people in that level, but I need to speak to them to understand timelines and what's coming out and what direction they're going into. And I've just found everyone so available and just sitting there talking to you. And I know that, for instance, there was a little coffee area, and Rod Drew just sat in the coffee area and just come and talk to me if you need to talk to me, as well as running around and doing everything that he was doing. It was so accessible, which I was really impressed about. Yeah, so that's another good reason to come to the conferences. You actually can sort of touch base with so many of the staff members of Xero if you need to.
And they're all very real. Everyone is very real that you meet, and it's lovely. I've not come across, I haven't come across anybody that I've gone and thought, oh, you're absolutely nothing like I thought you would be, So it's really neat. Yeah.
Yes, I just had a funny situation in that I've had a virtual relationship with a gentleman I've done business with for about a decade, and I always kind of had this impression that he was perhaps a sort of a geeky, just a spotty, geeky, sitting on his backside doing just spotty, geeky things. And he uploaded a photo of himself, and he looks like Ryan Gosling.
Oh my God!
Oh wow!
Either how gorgeous.
Yeah. So it is funny when you actually do meet someone, do actually meet someone in real life. It's very exciting.
Yes. The other thing too is I always say to everyone, try and keep your LinkedIn photos as current as possible, please.
Yeah.
So that when we go to ZeroCon, at least we can see what you look like.
Yeah. Absolutely. When people come up, they launch into this conversation with you, and you're like,
yeah.
Who are you? 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 Wait, remind me who you are. Wear a badge.
Yeah, you're smiling, trying to look at their name tag. Don't want to be rude or anything.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. Oh, you had, black hair in your photo, and you've got red hair now.
Yes. Yeah. You're absolutely right. Update your LinkedIn photo. Very important. So what advice, so there's two things I'd like to ask you. I think you've prepared some perhaps responses to what advice would you have for our listeners out there? I'm not sure if you've got something along those lines there.
I've got a couple of things here.
Okay. What would you like to share with our listeners, Gayle?
Okay. The biggest thing I've found is just remember it's okay. It's okay if people don't like you. And that's one of it does break your heart when you're with a client and they just don't like you.
Yes.
So just understand that they won't. And I went to a skill path course once, and the lady stood up and spoke about project managers. She said, just remember this, for every 60% of the people that you are going to meet in your lifetime won't like you. So if you work along those odds, it's great, because you just keep saying in the hello, and it doesn't matter. So 6 out of 10 are not going to like you, but it's not because of you. Yeah. So just remember that. That's okay. Look for the 40, because they're the cream that you want to be with anyway.
And pass them on to someone. Just like if it doesn't work, just say, look, this isn't working. We're not communicating well for some reason. Would you like me to find someone else to work with you? Or just say, look, I think you need to maybe go and have a talk with. And I know that I have a network of people around myself who I will just pass clients on to. And it's simply boundaries. They might not like the way you speak, whatever. Yeah, so I completely agree with you there. Yes?
Yeah, just find someone for them. Always be transparent and honest. It's easy to repeat the truth.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And then especially in the industry we're in now, it's very global. So if you're dropping, like I'm really active on the Xero blog or in any of the groups and just out there helping as many people as I possibly can. And I'm really consistent because I'm just honest and transparent. And that is the part that a lot of people are going to gravitate to as well, is that 40% that you want, they're going to come and ask you. So it isn't rocket science, but I find a lot of people aren't kind of doing that. So when you start doing that, then all of a sudden things just start happening for you.
Absolutely.
And then I've always done it, is always said to myself, make sure you make as many mistakes as you possibly can and laugh at yourself like you wouldn't believe.
Yes.
And then get a group of, what we've got is a group of chicks together. We called this, hashtag Smoking Hot Bookkeepers. And, we just have fun. And it's okay that, we've made a mistake. And it's like, it's great because they all come together and they say, oh, I've only done that 4 times this year. Oh, no, I did that 6 times this year. And I did, and it's okay. Oh, it's good because I've only just done that once,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, laugh. It certainly helps you physically as well.
Yeah, and get that strong network around you. Now, you did mention one thing there that I'd just like to just explore a little bit. You make yourself transparent. You're active on social media. You actively facilitate the LinkedIn group. And so one of the things I found in that, quite sort of having a profile as a writer, is that sometimes when people see you doing all of this, they think that they can then directly come to you and seek free extended consultation with you.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so you hear me? And yes. I probably never have a problem answering someone on social media about a question, but when they do come, so from my perspective, when they do come to you for extended consultation, you're moving into consultation. You're moving into an area that I need to be insured for, and sort of you're moving into an investment that you need to consider. And people need to protect themselves from, I think it's really good to give out free and transparent advice and comment on LinkedIn areas and on social media. But that's sort of one of the, you have to have some sort. Do you agree that you have to have some sort of boundary there?
I do, and I mean, I learnt that the hard way too. That was one of my blood noses. And when I couldn't get my workload out because I was giving away way too much time to other people and helping them, I then came across another add-on for Xero called Timely. And it's fantastic. It's an appointment add-on, which I use now. So what I found is that I spoke to a couple of friends in Australia and the States that were going through the same kind of thing. And I said, look, it's easy enough to say, look, I'm really sorry if we're going to get into this. You do understand I'm going to have to charge for this consultation. And I had a lot of accountants giving me these lines and stuff, and they didn't resonate with me. So I just went, hold on a minute. So I got into Timely, and it was great because I book all of my training sessions through that. And then I found this wee button, and you could put the button on your email address so that whenever anyone emailed you, I just emailed back and said, hi, just book me below, click the button.
Yes.
And when they click the button, they've got to choose how much time they're going to have me and how much it's going to cost them. And you know what? No one ever came back. I had one person.
Yeah.
And it worked a treat because I let them down. They knew straight away. And that's the power of software. Love it.
Yeah, automation of software. That's a fantastic. So that's another Xero add-on called Timely that people can have a look at and that you can actually incorporate into your email. So that's another sensational, fabulous suggestion there from you, Gayle. So thank you very much for agreeing to be on the show here with me, Gayle. I've just got one more question for you before we leave. What advice do you have for your 17-year-old self?
My 17-year-old self. Never be afraid to be you.
Cool. Very good. Very good advice there, Gayle. Thank you so much for giving up your morning and sharing so many useful tips and hints with everyone. I really appreciate it.
I hope you enjoyed that interview with Gayle. She has so much energy, doesn't she? In the next episode of Cloud Stories, I talk with Jared Armstrong of MinuteDoc, and I also share with you tips on how to get the most out of attending a conference. If you like this show, can I get you to subscribe to the show Cloud Stories? Leave a 5-star review on iTunes and let your friends know about Cloud Stories. If you could share a link to the show on Facebook or LinkedIn, that would also be sensational. Thank you, and I'll speak with you next week.
This show is sponsored by Rental SaaS. Rental SaaS is your end-to-end rental management solution, enabling you to keep track of bookings, hired items, and manage your inventory. Rental SaaS integrates seamlessly with Xero. Contact Siva and his team at rentalsaas.com for further information. If you want to get in contact with Heather Smith, please visit her website at www.heathersmithsmallbusiness.com. If you wish to find out more about XU magazines, contact Heather at au@xumagazine.com. You've been listening to Cloud Stories. If you like this podcast, please download it, share it with friends, share it on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and social media. And one more thing, can you leave Cloud Stories a 5-star rating on iTunes? Thank you!